Coinage and the State. Our earlier video on the economy's information-carrying particle proclaimed that the macroeconomy is, in its essence, a web of obligations. If expectations as to the performance of duties, the fulfillment of promises, returns on investment, etc., are not consistently fulfilled, then economic order cannot exist. That video went on to identify anything that we might call money, whatever its form, as something that calibrates economic obligations. This operative definition is essential because money presents itself in so many different forms. Our video emphasized that money's most primitive forms are entirely virtual. Vocalized pledges, IOUs, and the willingness of proprietors to run tabs for their customers are examples of money in this form. That video's discussion of vendor financing demonstrated that virtual notions of money persist in the form of offsetting accounting entries. As the scale of economic activity expands, and systems of local commerce merge into indescribably complex networks of impersonal economic agents, financial obligations must be made precise in order to facilitate commerce. Accounting can only operate in terms of a monetary unit having a precise connection to a given reference commodity. Units of this commodity compare the values of commodities having fundamentally incompatible units of physical measure, such as labor and capital. The historical and continuing reference for denominating the monetary unit would be the coin of some realm, perhaps even a realm that perished long ago. Coins of a given denomination are created so as to be perfectly interchangeable with one another. This means that coins can be counted unambiguously, and counts can be compared without controversy, all of which makes them an ideal visualization of just what is meant by a unit of measure. Our thinking on these matters can be consolidated in a fanciful, idealized origin story for the inception of coinage as a monetary unit. Macroeconomies only exist within the bounds of a civilized state. The economy is, therefore, more than a collection of individuals exchanging things. It necessarily entails relationships between a sovereign elite and a subject class. Ideally, the elites exercise power so as to enforce upright behavior among their subjects, and to protect the subjects' persons and property from depredations upon one another, as well as from conquest by presumably less benign foreign elites. Elite power is exercised through regiments of specially equipped personnel whose occupation is the exercise of force, and an unprovisioned armed force, if hungry, is quite well equipped to ravage any convenient source of sustenance. Thus, the fundamental problem of elite power is to provide those who enforce power with means for acquiring their sustenance so as not to disrupt the realm's productive sectors. The essence of this problem is that the virtual money operating naturally within productive classes is not operative in dealing with vigorous young men whose profession is violent, organized theft. Our inception story for coinage supposes that uniform value tokens were invented to facilitate orderly trade between those who produce and those who defend. It is in the nature of the benefits provided by a realm's enforcers that they do not accrue to the specific benefit of any particular tradesman who might provide something of value to a particular soldier. Our tale imagines that some forgotten monarch hit upon the notion of coins as benefits that are yet to be specified, and thus can be equally valuable to either the tradesman or to the soldier. The sovereign's authority over the coins of his realm is most typically expressed in that he demands his subjects pay their taxes in his coins. This means that the productive elements of the realm must conduct their affairs so that they acquire the coins in which their taxes must be paid. The sovereign will then use the coins acquired through taxation to pay his soldiers, which means the soldiers have something that the realm's producers must acquire. Now, the producers and the soldiers have a basis for commerce involving no threats of violence and no opportunities for betrayals of trust. This simple monetary circuit is then completed as the sovereign reacquires his coins through his taxes upon the producers of his realm. Coins can be minted from base metal so as to make them difficult to counterfeit, or minted from metals that are rare, thereby joining their value to the marginal costs of the metal's discovery, extraction, and refinement. In the latter case, minting need be no more complicated than impressing an ingot with a credible assertion as to its weight and purity. Monetary tokens might or might not have value that is intrinsic unto themselves. Representations of great quanta of value would require proportionally great, hence cumbersome, quanta of coins or bullion. Tokens of great value tend, therefore, to be represented by intrinsically worthless forms of currency. These have included tally sticks, embossed leather strips, receipts for warehoused goods, deeds to pastured livestock, contracts for indentured service, commitments for prospective brides, and other precursors of paper banknotes. Paper banknotes are functionally the same as coins minted from base metal. Where the phrase printing money is commonly meant to convey some notion of a modern government's counterfeiting of its own currency, it might be usefully noted that its operational equivalent is more aligned with the vendor financing, described in our video on Economics Information Carrying Particle. That is to say, money is created by reciprocal entries to the balance sheets of government institutions, such as the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve Bank. Money tokens' intrinsic value is ultimately of no importance in comparison to the continuity of their value. If symbols of value can be created arbitrarily, then those entitled to the first use of new money will naturally encourage unlimited creativity in the monetary sphere. But money's function requires that it remain scarce, if it is to be analogous to the scarce physical resources that it represents. As monetary symbols become continuously more abundant, the realm's information-carrying particles will cease to be temporarily meaningful indicia as to where better economic states might lie. If the optimal economic state thus becomes sufficiently obscured, economic activity loses its controlling point of focus and descends into chaos. The perils of a debased monetary unit have always been known to those practicing statecraft. One of their weapons of war upon one another has, we may note, always been the counterfeiting of their opposition's currency. These matters were synthesized by no less a personality than Nicholas Copernicus for the elites of his day. Although there are countless maladies that are forever causing the decline of kingdoms, princedoms, and republics, the following four, in my judgment, are the most serious: civil discord, a high death rate, sterility of the soil, and the debasement of coinage. The first three are so obvious that everybody recognizes the damage they cause. But the fourth one, which has to do with money, is noticed only by a very few thoughtful people, since it does not operate all at once and at a single blow, but gradually overthrows governments, and in a hidden, insidious way. The proportions of elites' regard for their subjects, relative to their concern for their enforcers, is epitomized in the dying words with which the Emperor Severus bequeathed the Roman Empire to his sons: "Enrich the soldiers, scorn everybody else."